Welcome back, friends, to another session of fluid mechanics and rate processes. In the last lecture, we were looking at some of the exact solutions of the flow equations, the incompressible flow equations, but those were in the Cartesian coordinates. I thought it would be useful for you to look at some of the exact solutions in the cylindrical coordinates. So today what we will do is look at the flow in a pipe of a circular cross section. So let's begin. So this would be laminar flow through a pipe of circular section. In fact, it is possible to get solutions through non-circular sections also, but this one is a little bit simpler and it actually illustrates the point. This flow is also known as the Hagen-Poiseuelle flow. It's named after these two scientists. Hagen, he solved these problems in 1839 and Poiseuelle in 1840. The problem is like this. So let's look at the setup. So there's a pipe. Let me draw the central axis. And it's a infinite pipe of circular cross section. And let's say the radius is r. So I'm going to draw a cross section here. So if I look at cross section, then it's a circular section and the radius is r. Let me set up the coordinates. So this would be the angle theta, and I would like to call this as the z axis, and instead of using the Cartesian coordinate system, now we are going to use the cylindrical coordinate system. So I am going to talk about at any point there is a unit vector in the radial direction and there is a unit vector in the theta direction. So this I have put a coordinate system just outside, but you would have similar coordinate system at any point inside this cross section. Okay? And of course r is the radius. So we are going to make certain assumptions and then we are going to write down the flow equations and simplify them, just like we did for the Cartesian system. So first, the assumptions. The first assumption is that the flow is steady. And this would require that all the time derivatives, they are 0. Okay? The next assumption is we are going to make that the flow is fully developed. We looked at in detail what is the meaning of fully developed. So essentially this is an infinite pipe. There would be an entrance length, but we are well beyond the entrance length. So the flow is not changing with the z direction. What I mean by the flow is not changing is the velocity field. The pressure, of course, will still change with the z direction. So fully developed means that the velocity field does not change with z, okay, which is the primary direction of the flow. So this would imply that del v by del z is 0. Okay. The next one I am going to make is that we have no swirl. This is an important one. What can happen in this pipe is that the flow is not just axial, it actually has a component that leads to a velocity in the theta direction. So that we are calling as the swirl. So this would imply that v theta is 0. Let me mention here that the velocity field we are writing as Vr is the component in the radial direction plus v theta in the theta direction and a Vz in the z direction, which I can call simply the k direction. Okay, so that's my velocity. And in general, all these components, they are functions of z, they are functions of r and theta, and of course time. But we are going to make these assumptions over here and then simplify our analysis. The next one is going to be about, so the fourth assumption that I want to make is that we have axisymmetry. What that means is that if I look at this face of the pipe, then no matter what is my theta direction, it's the same picture. So the variables here achieve the same value at different theta. Okay, so that's axisymmetry. So this would imply that del by del theta is 0. Let me point out that axisymmetry does not imply that v theta is 0. It can still be a constant. A non-zero constant, right? So I could have actually a swirl, but that swirl speed need not depend on theta, and that would still be axisymmetric. Okay, so these two are actually different assumptions. Okay, I'm also going to assume, although it is not needed, that my body force is 0. So this F is 0, right, the body force, in all the directions, in the z direction and ER and E theta. Of course, I could assume that there is gravity and that acts vertically, and then I could split it in the ER and E theta direction as g sine theta and g cosine theta with the correct signs, and one could still analyze this flow and not much would change. But just for simplicity, we would like to drop this term out, and you can include it if you would like. Okay, now what I am going to do is list for you the equations, so the flow equations. These are long equations and we have seen them before, so I am going to write down the continuity equation, and then there would be an r momentum equation, then the theta momentum equation, and finally the equation in the z direction. And once I write these down, then I am going to look at these assumptions one by one and strike off the terms that go to 0, and then looking at the simplified equations, just like we did for the Cartesian coordinates, we are going to analyze this flow. So the continuity equation, that's going to be 1 by r del by del r of r Vr plus 1 by r del v theta by del theta plus del Vz by del z equal to 0. Okay. So this is essentially the divergence of the velocity field equal to 0, but written in cylindrical coordinates. For the r momentum equation, there is going to be first the unsteady term, so that would be del Vr by del t, and then the convection term. So I am going to write down those terms, Vr del Vr by del r plus v theta by r del Vr by del theta minus V theta square by r plus Vz del Vr by del z. So that's your Eulerian time derivative, and then this is actually the convective acceleration for the r equation. This times the pressure gradient, which is del P by del R, and this now has to be balanced by the Laplacian of velocity multiplied by the coefficient of viscosity and the body force. So those terms are going to be given as mu times del by del R of 1 by R del by del R of R Vr plus 1 by R square del square Vr by del theta square minus 2 by R square del V theta by del theta plus del square Vr by del z square plus rho times Fr. Okay, so that entire equation is my R momentum equation. We wrote this last time as well. And then I have the theta momentum equation, which is very similar. So first the time derivative del V theta by del t, followed by the convective term, which is Vr del V theta by del R plus V theta by R del V theta by del theta plus Vr V theta by R plus Vz del V theta by del z. So that's the total acceleration as far as V theta is concerned, and this times 1 by R del P by del theta, this should be equal to mu times, now I have to write down the Laplacian of the velocity in the theta direction. So del by del R of 1 by R del by del R of R V theta. Okay. And then the remaining terms 1 by R square del square V theta by del theta square plus 2 by R square del Vr by del theta plus del square V theta by del z square, and then plus a rho f theta. Okay. Finally, the z momentum equation, let me write that for you as well. That would be rho times del Vz by del t plus Vr del Vz by del R plus V theta by R del Vz by del theta plus Vz del Vz by del z. This times the pressure gradient in the z direction, and now the viscous term, which is mu times del by del R of 1 by R of del by del R of R del Vz by del R plus 1 by R square del square Vz by del theta square plus del square Vz by del z square. So that's the Laplace plus rho f z. You don't have to remember these equations. They are given in some kind of an appendix in the book, or you can look at handbooks. I would expect you to remember the Cartesian form of these equations which we used in the last class, and you should be able to identify in the cylindrical coordinates which terms are which, but of course I don't expect you to remember these equations. You can always look them up and use them. If I give you a question in the exam, don't worry about it, the equations will be given to you. Okay, so now let's try to figure out what do we do as far as the simplifications are concerned. So let's first start with the steady flow. So because the flow is steady, so I will strike off these terms. Okay, so these are because of the flow is steady, so I lose them. Okay, we have a fully developed flow, so all derivatives in the velocity with respect to z, they kind of go away, so I will mark that with the green color. So this goes away, that is because it is fully developed. Then when I come to this equation, this term goes away, that is fully developed, and likewise this term goes away. Okay, that is in the viscous term. Now I come to the second equation, and again here this term goes away because this is a fully developed, so there is no z derivative, and similarly this term would go away. When I come to the z momentum equation, then this term would go away. Okay, I cannot really strike off this term. As I said, fully developed does not mean that del p del z is identically 0. It may turn out to be 0, as we might look at the equations later and inspect and find out, but it cannot go away because the flow is fully developed. That cannot be the reason. And likewise this term goes away. Okay. So I have taken care of the steady, I have taken care of the fully developed. Now let me look at this no swirl assumption. So that means all the terms that involve v theta is identically 0. So since v theta is 0, I cannot have a variation with theta, so that goes away. So all the terms that involve v theta, I am going to identically put them to 0. Okay, so this term also goes to 0, and then I come to this equation. So this goes to 0, 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 right? And then in the final z momentum equation, I can strike off this term, and that is it. So that takes care of my equation for no swirl. Next I am going to look at the flow is axisymmetric. That means there are no changes with respect to theta. Now it is quite likely that some of the terms are already taken to 0 because of some other assumptions, but I am still going to put a tick on it as and when I see those terms. So let us go about looking at del by del theta. So you see this is double accounting. So this term goes away because of two reasons. One is v theta itself goes to 0, no swirl, and even if there was swirl, the axisymmetry requires there should not be a variation with theta. Likewise this term would also go away. It is already gone because of no swirl, but this time it goes away because the flow is axisymmetric. I would have to get rid of this term and this term also as well. Okay, so some terms are going to 0 for two reasons. Okay. Then the same for this term, del by del theta. This one would have to go to 0 because my pressure also has to be axisymmetric. So this time even the pressure gradient term goes to 0. Okay. This one I would have to kick out, and likewise that term as well. And finally, when I come to the z momentum equation, there is a del by del theta term over here, and there is a second derivative with theta, so that would have to go away. Okay. So I have taken care of this assumption as well. Next we come to the body force. So I have assumed that body forces are 0, and that is easy. So I get rid of this term, I get rid of this term, and I get rid of this term. Okay. So now let us simplify the equations that we get. So let me write down those equations, and so the continuity equation. For the continuity equation, I get 1 by r del by del r of r v r equal to 0. Okay. So this would imply that my r of v r is constant. Let me call this C. Okay. Now let us come back to the problem description and try to look at the boundary conditions. This is a flow inside a pipe. So there is nothing like a far field boundary condition. Okay. The only condition we have is on the wall of the pipe. And there we would have to follow a no slip condition. So no slip on the wall of pipe. And that would imply that if I had the velocity vector at r equal to capital R, that is at the wall, at all theta locations and at all z locations, this has to be identically 0. So all components of velocity have to vanish at the wall of the pipe. So this automatically implies that my VR is also 0 at the pipe. So now I use the boundary condition here that my VR at r equal to r, and of course at all theta, at all z is 0, which really implies that C is 0, okay, and which therefore implies that VR is 0 everywhere. Great. So let us come back to the velocity vector. Okay. So we are now saying VR is 0 everywhere. V theta is anyway 0 because there is no swirl, that is our assumption, V theta is 0. So effectively I have only the z component of velocity. Okay. So I will write down here that this implies V is simply Vz as a function of r. It cannot be a function of theta, right, because that is again precluded by the axisymmetric. So it can only be a function of either r, or it could be a function of z, but then it cannot be a function of z because it is fully developed. So I have been able to show you that this is your simplified velocity field. Okay. There is only a component Vz, so let me put a k here, it is in the k direction. Maybe I will erase it and put it again. So what is being said is that the velocity vector is simply given by a component, a z component, because r and theta are 0, and this has to be necessarily only in the r direction, and this is going to be in the direction k. Vr is 0, V theta is 0, and now Vz is only a function of r. It is not a function of theta because of axis symmetry, and it cannot be a function of z because of it being fully developed. Great. So that's your continuity equation. Let's see what your other momentum equation give you. So the R momentum equation the second equation is telling us so now this term also goes away, okay, so we can drop this. So it actually tells us, so VR also goes away, that del P by del R is 0. So I have used VR equal to 0 in this. So if you want, I can strike off this term because we have shown VR is 0.